What's up YouTube? It's Andrea here at VW Family Farm. Welcome back to the kitchen, and I am up to my ears in apples. I showed you a few videos ago ordering apples from Azure Standard. It's fall, it's apple season, and so what am I doing with all these apples? I got a lot of apple stuff going on here. I've got apples in the crock pot. I've got apples that I'm freezing for apple cakes, and our personal favorite, fried apples. But this is not a how-to on how to make all those things. This is how not to waste any part of the apple. And I'm talking about apple cider vinegar. That magic little stuff that we cook with, clean with. You can feed it to your chickens. You can take it yourself every day. All different, unlimited uses on apple cider vinegar. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. But it is so cheap to make. It's so little effort that you need to be making it. You can make it from apple scraps of apples you bought at the store, off your tree, doesn't matter. Number one, I would probably go with organic apples because this is going to be made from peelings, cores, scraps. So as you know, obviously if you're making something out of the peeling, you don't want pesticides on that. Now, this is super, super easy. I'm going to give you step by step how to do this. I will not be showing the finished product today because I wasn't even going to record this. I'm just making this for our family. And I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe you're doing apples right now too, and you could be saving those scraps and making them. So I'm going to walk you through this. This is not an experiment because I have done this before. It works perfectly. It's super easy. But it takes 4 to 6 weeks for the final product. But if I didn't show you now and you chunk all your apple peelings and cores to your chickens, you can't do it. So that's why I'm starting you today. And if you have questions throughout any part of this process, you can always email me. But it's super easy and almost foolproof. So let's get started. First thing I want to show you is this thing. And I will find one of these and link it below. These are not very expensive. And it makes a great birthday gift or whatever. It is an apple peeler and corer. I don't use the coring function because I've never gotten that to work super well. So I just core them by hand. You can actually use the peels and the cores to make your apple cider vinegar so you're not wasting anything, which I love. And then you also wind up straining the scraps out of the apple cider vinegar and you can feed those to an animal. So no part of this goes to waste. But this thing is amazing and such a time saver. If you're a terrible peeler like I am, I wind up losing more of the fruit than I want to lose. This thing does an awesome job. I've already peeled a bunch. I'm going to peel a bunch more. Okay, so this handy dandy thing will actually lock down. It's got a suction cup on the bottom and then it doesn't slide around. I've got it on this cookie sheet, which the cookie sheet moves, but it keeps the mess contained. So then you just poke it on these prongs. And like I said, this is a corer. You can slide up here and it's supposed to core. And I'm sure it works for some people. I just prefer to just core them by hand. But this saves the peeling step. Watch the magic. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so I got all the apples I want to work with today peeled and ready. I'm fixing to set into coring them. That'll take me a bit. Now, if you are interested in all things apple, I'm gonna have Lane link this book below. This is my favorite canning book. There's all kinds of recipes in here from apple butter, apple sauce, all kinds of things you can do with apple and then can it. And this is a good resource for beginning canners as well as experienced canners because these are approved recipes to can with as far as acidity and things like that to keep your family safe eating home prepared foods. All right, so let's talk apple cider vinegar. It has all kinds of amazing benefits and it is so super simple to make yourself. You can use all the parts of the apple that generally you would compost or throw away, and then after 2 weeks of this, you're going to strain those out and you can still compost those or feed them to an animal. So you're wasting nothing. You're using something you'd usually dispose of. You can use peels as well as cores, a combination of the two, whatever you want to do. And if you don't have enough to start a batch, you can always put some in a freezer bag and stick it in your freezer and do it later. That's the beautiful thing about it. So as you can see, I've got about 3/4 of a gallon of apple peelings. That's what I'm going to use today. I've got more frozen for later. So you're going to want a jar, whether it's a gallon like I have, or you can start with just a quart. You're going to fill it about 3/4 of the way up. We're going to mix up a sugar solution and pour over that. I have a 1/2 gallon here with a funnel. I'm going to mix up 1/2 gallon of sugar water because you're just going to fill it up and cover these and leave a little headspace at the top of the jar. That's where I'm going to start. You're going to need a tablespoon of sugar per cup of water. So in a 1/2 gallon, I'm going to use 8 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to shake that up and get it good and dissolved, and then I'm going to pour it in. So I'm going to get started. So I'm just going to shake this up until I get this sugar pretty well dissolved. You can put it in something and stir it up, however you want to do it. Okay, I told y'all this was easy. It's so super simple. I'm going to take this sugar water and I'm going to pour it over these apple scraps until they're completely covered. And I'm going to leave at least a few inches at the top of the jar. Okay? So that was just enough to come up to the top. I think I'm actually going to mix up just a little more. Like I said, it's 1 tablespoon per 1 cup of water, so mix up however much you need. Okay, so I mixed up a little more. I'm going to go ahead and fill this up most of the way. Okay, so that's it for this step. You're going to cover this with a coffee filter or a cloth or anything like that. You're going to put a rubber band around it. Keep fruit flies and things like that out. And you're going to put this in a warm, dark place for a couple weeks. I'm going to put it in my cabinet and shut the door where it'll be nice and dark. You can stir it every few days, or actually I don't. The times I've made this in the past, I just leave it alone. Set yourself a reminder on your phone, mark it down, put it on your to-do list, whatever you do. And in about 2 weeks, you're going to come back and this is going to smell really nice, and it's going to smell kind of like hard cider, like apple cider. Okay? At that point, super simple. You're just going to strain out all these peelings and cores. Okay? And then you can compost those at that time. Feed them to your chickens, whatever you decide to do with them. And then the liquid that is left, it is not apple cider vinegar yet. You're going to put that back in the dark place with your coffee filter on it for another 2 to 4 weeks, and it's going to develop a really nice vinegar smell. And at that point, you have made apple cider vinegar. Now, instructions I've read say at that point, put it in the fridge. I don't. I just keep it in my pantry. At that point, put a lid on it. And there you go. You've made your own apple cider vinegar. And it's possible you could form a mother on top of it. If you've bought really high quality apple cider vinegar like Bragg's or something like that, it'll say with the mother. That's what it's talking about. It's like a culture that forms probably floating on the top of it. Think of like a kombucha SCOBY, something like that. That's where it would form. If yours forms one, awesome job. You've done good. You can put that in your next batch. You can leave it in there. It's not going to hurt anything to just leave in your vinegar and store it that way. So use your own judgment. I don't store mine in the fridge, but I have read online where other people do. So it's vinegar. Think of it that way. I don't store my other vinegars in the fridge either. Now, a little disclaimer here. I would not use this to make pickles and things like that because you're not going to know the acidity of it unless you have some way to check that. But store-bought vinegar is 5% acidity, and that's why your canning recipes call for 5% vinegar, because it's a balance of the pH of the thing you're canning. And when it's homemade, you just don't know. So your recipe could potentially come out unsafe to be canned. So I would not recommend using it for canning, but use it for anything else. Use it for your animals. Use it for yourself. Use it for cleaning, cooking, anything like that. I always put a splash of apple cider vinegar when I'm making bone broth. Use it for that. There's endless possibilities. Leave down in the comments, what's your favorite way to use apple cider vinegar? And like I said, I'm not filming the end of this process because I literally am starting this right now. I know it's gonna work, it's worked before, but if you need help along the way, I would be glad to chat with you. Leave a comment below, shoot me an email, however you decide to contact me, it'll be great. Thanks for watching. Get you some apple cider vinegar going. It's so easy. And if I've forgotten anything, which I probably have, shoot me a question down below. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to VW Family Farm. We'd love to have you as part of our family. Hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, all those things. We've heard from some of you in the past that you thought you were subscribed and then you weren't. So I believe if you're not actively commenting and watching videos, you could possibly be unsubscribed from channels you think you're subscribed to. So check that out. Make sure. I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out with me, and God bless. All right, before I completely sign off, I realized I have some apple cider vinegar that I had made before. So you can see this beautiful golden deliciousness that is apple cider vinegar. This is what the finished product is gonna look like. You can see it's not super clear. It's got a cloudy brown color to it, gold really. That's perfectly normal. If during the first process where the apple scraps are still in with the sugar water, if you develop a brownish layer on top or grayish, you can give that a stir, or you don't have to, just whatever you prefer. I'll probably just leave mine alone, but I just wanted to mention this is the final product. This is what you're going for. So just to recap and be clear, you're gonna have your scraps and your sugar water. You're gonna leave that alone for 2 weeks. You're gonna strain it, and then you're gonna leave that remaining liquid after you've strained it and composted the scraps. You're gonna leave that liquid for another 2 to 4 weeks. And then you're gonna cap it, and you're gonna put it in your fridge or your pantry or somewhere to store it and start using it. And remember, after the first 2 weeks, it's not gonna be vinegar yet. It's gonna have more of a sweet cider smell to it. And then after the second ferment without the scraps in it, that's when it's gonna develop that tangy, vinegary smell to it, okay? It's super simple. Just wanted to clarify that if I wasn't clear before and show you this beautiful finished product.